Welcome to my Yoga for Beginners series. Now, if you're one of those people that has been too scared to start yoga, maybe because you were worried about not being flexible enough or intimidated by some yoga poses you've seen online, then you're in the right place. We're going to start this yoga journey nice and slow and gentle, and then we'll gradually build intensity and pace over the coming weeks. Now, yoga is all about harmonizing the mind, body, and spirit. So in these classes, we'll do some breathing techniques, some meditation, and a physical practice. And the style of physical practice that I teach is called vinyasa. And basically what that means is we'll take the yoga poses and we'll join them together with breath and movement, so it flows throughout the entire class. Now, with that being said, let's get started. So we're going to start with some basic breath awareness. So I want you to lie down on your back with your knees bent, your feet hip distance apart, and then just bring both your hands to your belly. And I just want you to breathe comfortably just for a few moments, just allowing your body to melt down into the ground beneath you. And after you've taken a few regular breaths, I want you to begin to observe the inhalation and exhalation. Noticing which is longer, which is faster. Now, we're not trying to change or manipulate the breath. We're just using this time to observe the breath. Now, I want you to begin to focus on the quality of the breath. Is it strained or tense? Are your breaths shallow or deep? Do they feel smooth or uneven? And once again, as you're observing this, I don't want you to feel like you need to change or regulate the breath. You're just using this time just to observe. Now, if you haven't already, I want you to seal the lips together. So you're breathing in and out of the nose. Now we're going to begin to count the breath. So I'll count you in. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. And exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. And exhale, 2, 3, 4. So just keep breathing like this. Equal inhales and equal exhales. And then notice if your mind starts to wander. Knowing that it's human nature for the mind to easily drift off and think about things other than what you're doing at the moment. If your mind does start to wander, just label that thought as thinking. For example, if you're thinking about your to-do list or your emails, I want you to be like, yeah, I'm thinking. And then just gradually draw your attention back to the breath. So every time your mind drifts, label that thought as thinking. And gently draw your attention back to the breath. And sometimes you may realize that you're deep in thought before you have a chance to make that mental label. And sometimes you may catch yourself drifting straight away. And just be kind to yourself. It's so common to be thinking about something other than what you're doing. It's completely normal. If your mind is wandering right now, then make that little mental note that you've been thinking. And draw your attention back to the breath. Feeling the belly rise and fall as you inhale and exhale. And then just want you to gently roll onto your favorite side, maybe using the arm as a pillow, keeping the eyes closed down. And then making your way up into a comfortable seat with your legs crossed. Bringing your hands together in front of your heart. Now the theme of today's practice is just to be present. You've taken this time out of your day to get on your mat and do some yoga. So just remind yourself throughout the class to be here in mind, body, and spirit. If you need a little mantra or affirmation, you can use the words, I am here. So for any time you find yourself getting distracted, just using those words to gently draw your attention back to your practice. Release the hands down to your knees and blink the eyes open. I'm going to release the right hand down next to the right hip and just drop the left ear towards the left shoulder. So we're just doing a gentle neck stretch here. We're trying to increase the space between the right shoulder and the right ear. So we're creating length up through the right side of the neck. Now this might feel good for you. If you want to make it just a little bit deeper, you can always rest your left hand on top of your head. And just be careful not to pull your head down. And just resting the hand there, allowing the weight of the arm and the hand to deepen the stretch. And rocking the chin a little bit towards center, changing the direction of the stretch. And then releasing the chin all the way down through center. Walk the right hand out a little bit to the right. Then inhale the left arm up and over. So you're grounding down through the left sit bone and reaching the left fingertips up and over. So it's a nice body stretch up the left hand side. You may take your gaze underneath that left bicep. And then on your next inhale, coming back up through center. Take that left hand across your body to the right knee. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. And exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. And exhale, twist. One more like that. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, twist. And then gently coming back through center. And just changing the cross of those legs. So opposite leg is in front. Take the left hand down next to the left hip. And drop the right ear down towards the right shoulder. So once again, we're trying to create space between that left shoulder and the left ear. You can stay here, or you can bring that right hand on top of your head. Making sure to not pull the head down, just to use the weight of the hand to apply a little bit more pressure. Rocking the chin a little bit towards center, moving the stretch a little bit more towards the back of the neck. And release the chin all the way down and bring the gaze back up. Walk the left hand out a little bit to the left. Then inhale the right arm up and over. So really grounding down through the right sit bone as you reach the right arm up and over. So there's one long line of energy from that right hip all the way through the right fingertips. Maybe take the gaze up under the right bicep. And on the next inhale, coming back up through center. Cross that right hand over to the left knee. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. And exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, twist. One more like that. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. And exhale, twist. And then coming back through center. We're going to roll over the knees, coming into our tabletop pose. Now in our tabletop, the hands are stacked underneath the shoulders and the pointer fingers are facing forward. Now I want you to try and wrap the elbow pits, the front of the elbows, forward. So I'll face the camera so you can see this. So you can see that I'm wrapping those elbow pits forward. So if you imagine you have a jar of peanut butter under each of your hands, you're trying to rotate the peanut butter jar lid to the right on your right hand, and on the left hand you're trying to rotate that peanut butter lid to the left. So wrapping those elbow pits forward. The knees are stacked underneath the hips. So this is our neutral tabletop position. On the inhale, we're going to drop the belly, arch the spine and take the gaze up. And on the exhale, we're going to push the ground away, round through the spine, chin to chest. Inhale, drop the belly, arch the spine, gazes up. Exhale, round the spine, push the ground away, chin to chest. One more like that. Inhale, coming up through your cow pose, gazes up. And exhale, round the spine, push the ground away for your cat pose here. Inhale, coming back through center. Now, often in our first yoga classes, we tend to get tight wrists. We spend a lot of time on our wrists in yoga. So I want you to rotate that left hand around so the palms facing down, the fingertips are facing towards the knees. And this might feel quite intense, so you might just stay here. If you want to release through that wrist and forearm a little more, you might try rocking back and forwards or taking gentle little circles. And then gently flipping that hand back around, and then bring the right fingers to face the knees, palm facing down, and just either rocking back and forth or taking those gentle circles. And then flipping that right hand around, making sure we're back in that good tabletop position so the pointer fingers are facing forward. We're wrapping those elbow pits forward. Inhale, tuck the toes under, lift the knees off the ground. And then exhale, shift the hips up and back for downward facing dog. So we're just making an inverted V shape here. And I'm going to guide you through the correct alignment starting from the fingers. So the hands are shoulder width apart. The elbow pits are facing forward and the pointer fingers are facing forward. So there's a slight external rotation through the arms. Now the ears are between the biceps, so you might notice that you try to look up between the hands. Just relax the head and allow sort of the ears to be roughly between the biceps. The hips are nice and high, so the hips are the highest point of the body. Now working down the legs, we want those feet hip distance apart. Now, if you can see your heels, I want you to think about wrapping your inner thighs towards one another so your heels disappear out the back of your feet. So your heels will disappear out towards the side edges of your mat. So you should just be able to see your toes and not your heels. Now, we can walk the dog here by bending through one knee, straightening the other leg, and then bending through the opposite knee and straightening the other leg. This is called walking the dog, and this is a nice way to release through the hamstrings and the calves. You might see in a lot of yoga videos and yoga poses online that the heels are sinking down into the mat. And that's totally fine if you have that ankle flexibility. But just know that after 10 years of yoga, I still can't get my heels down to the mat. And that's totally normal and totally fine. Take one more breath in. And a deep exhale. Now on the next inhale, we're going to rock forward to plank pose, bringing the shoulders over the wrists. And then exhale, push the hips back to downward facing dog. Just Really warming up through the shoulders here. Inhale, rocking forward, plank pose. Stack those shoulders over the wrists. One long line of energy from the crown of the head back through the heels. And then exhale, back, downward facing dog. One more like that. Inhale, rocking forward to plank pose. Belly's tight, core is engaged. And then we're going to lower the knees down, untuck the toes. And then bending through the elbows. So the elbows are going back. We're going to lower the chest all the way down to the ground. Now I want you to ground down through the tops of the feet. So really push them down into the mat. Make sure the hands are underneath the shoulders, palms are down. Wrap the elbows back in towards you. And then inhale, lift the chest, neck, and head off the ground for Cobra Pose. And then exhale, lower the forehead back down. We're going to do that twice more. Inhale, chest, neck, and head off the ground, Cobra Pose. And exhale, lowering back down. One more. Lifting up, making sure those elbows are wrapping back and in. And exhale, lowering back down. Inhale, tuck the toes under, make your way back to your tabletop pose. Hands stacked underneath the shoulders. This time we're going to take the knees wide, the big toes together to touch. I'm going to shift the hips back over the heels, walking the hands out forward for our first child's pose. Now, child's pose is a great pose to come to if at any time in the practice you just need to take a moment to pause, to catch your breath, to relax. So in our child's pose, we're just allowing the arms, the armpits to sink down towards the mat. The hips are shifting back over the heels. And then take one more breath here. And then making your way back to your tabletop pose. Once again, pointer fingers facing forward, wrapping those elbow pits forward. Inhale, tuck the toes under, lift the knees up, and then exhale, shift back into that downward facing dog. Now just gently walk the feet up to meet the hands at the top of the mat. You can bend through the knees as much as you need to. Bring the feet hip distance apart and just take a little forward fold here, bending through the knees, just allowing the belly to rest on the thighs. Really relaxing through the head and the neck, maybe shaking your head no or nodding yes. And then bring opposite hands to opposite elbows for ragdoll here, maybe swaying side to side, just really allowing that top half of your body just to fold and fall from the hips. Release the hands down towards the ground, keeping a slight bend in the knees, and just roll up vertebrae by vertebrae, coming all the way up to standing into your mountain pose, Tadasana. So in our Tadasana, we want to have our big toes together to touch and our heels slightly apart. Our palms are facing forward, shoulders are relaxed down away from the ears. Gaze is forward. Now I'm going to take 3 sun salutations here, or 3 Surya Namaskar A's, and this will be a modified version and we'll gradually build up to the full version in the coming weeks. So we're going to inhale, reach the arms wide, bring the hands together above the head, and exhale, forward fold, hinging at the hips with a slight bend in the knee. Inhale, hands to shins, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, plant your hands down, stepping back into your plank pose. Inhale, lower the knees down, untuck the toes. Then exhale, bending through the elbows, lowering all the way down to the ground. Inhale, coming up into that Cobra Pose, chest, neck, and head off the ground. Then exhale, lowering the forehead back down. Inhale, tuck the toes under, make your way back to tabletop or plank. Then exhale, shift the hips up and back into that downward facing dog. And just take one deep breath here, in through the nose. And exhale. On the inhale, bending through the knees. And on the exhale, just stepping gently to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen through the spine. And exhale, forward fold, hinging at the hips. Inhale, reaching all the way out and up, coming up. And exhale, hands together in front of the heart. I'm going to do that twice more. Inhale, reach the arms wide, bring them together above your head. Exhale, forward fold, hinging at the hips, slight bend in the knees. Inhale, hands to shins, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, plant your hands down, stepping back to that plank pose. Inhale, lower the knees down, untuck the toes. Then exhale, bending through the elbows, lowering all the way down to the ground. Inhale, coming up into your cobra pose, drawing those elbows back and in. And then exhale, lowering the forehead down to the mat. Inhale, coming up into your tabletop or plank. Then exhale, shifting the hips up and back into that downward facing dog. One breath in and out. On the inhale, bending through the knees. And on the exhale, stepping to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Lengthen through the spine. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reach all the way up to standing. Hands come together above the head. And exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Last one here. Inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale, forward fold, hinging at the hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands down, stepping back to plank pose. Inhale, lower the knees down, untuck the toes. Exhale, bending through the elbows, lowering all the way down into your belly. Inhale, coming up through your cobra pose, arching through the spine. Exhale, lowering the forehead back down to the ground. Inhale, back to tabletop or plank. And exhale, back, downward facing dog. This time we're going to stay here in our down dog. Just take a couple of breaths to sink in. You might notice that in your first few classes that down dog feels quite like a hard pose. However, over the coming weeks, you'll really begin to settle into this pose and it'll almost begin to feel like a resting pose. And I know it might not feel like that now, but I promise you that that is coming. On your next inhale, take the right leg high to the sky. And on the exhale, draw that right knee in towards your nose and step that right foot between your hands. Lower the back knee down, untuck the back toes. Ground down through that left hand as you inhale the right arm high to the sky for an easy twist. You might notice that on your inhale, you can lengthen up through the spine. And on the exhale, you can open a little more. Bring that hand back down to the mat. Ground down through that right foot as you inhale, coming up into your low lunge. So we're in our low lunge here. We want this front knee stacked over the front ankle. The arms are high, but the shoulders are away from the ears. So you might notice that you're really arching through this lower back. Think about tucking the pelvis under. And you'll feel that length come up through the left hip flexor with just that small pelvic tuck. Arms high. And then take your hands down to the ground and just begin to straighten that front leg and flex through the front toes. Now, you are totally fine to have a little bent knee here. Just go as far as you can. Or if you can straighten that leg the whole way, you can do that. And if you just can't reach the ground, then I recommend having blocks or books or, cans of lentils, whatever you have at home, to basically provide an extension of your arms closer to the ground. So you'll notice that I might use blocks in today's class and in future classes, but just know that you can definitely find substitutes at home. Really flex through the toes. We're in half split here. Bend through the front knee. Plant the hands down to frame the front foot. Inhale, lift the back knee off the ground, tuck the back toes under. And then exhale, step back to your plank pose. Inhale in plank. And then exhale, lower the knees down, untuck the toes, lower all the way down to the ground. Inhale, coming up into your cobra pose. Exhale, lowering the forehead back down. Inhale, make your way back to tabletop or plank. And exhale back into your downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg up and back behind you. Exhale, draw that left knee in towards your nose and step it between your hands. Lower the back knee down. Now I want you to ground down through the right hand as you inhale the left arm high to the sky for an easy twist. You might notice that on the inhale, you can reach that left hand higher. On the exhale, you might be able to open up a little bit more. Bring that left hand down to the ground. Really ground down through that left foot as you inhale, coming up into your low lunge. So once again, in this low lunge, we want this front knee stacked over the front ankle. The arms are high, the shoulders are away from the ears. And you might notice that you really have this quite deep arch in the lower back. Think about tucking your pelvis under, and that should bring more length to the right hip flexor. One more breath here. And then bring your hands down to frame the front foot, and then shift the hip back as you straighten the left leg, flexing through the left toes. So once again, that left leg can be bent through the knee, it can be straight, and you can always use blocks or books or something under your hands so you can reach the ground a little bit easier. Bend through the front knee, plant the sole of the front foot down. Inhale, tuck the toes under, lift the back knee. And then exhale, step back to plank. Inhale, lower the knees down, untuck the toes. Then exhale, lowering all the way down onto your belly, bending through the elbows. Inhale, coming up into your cobra pose. Then exhale, lowering the forehead down to the mat. Inhale, make your way back to tabletop or plank. And exhale back, downward facing dog. Just taking one more breath in your down dog. And then I just want you to step all the way through, coming down to where we started class. So feet are hip distance apart, we're bending through the knees and just rolling down nice and slowly onto your back. Draw the heels in as close to your butt as you can get them, but keeping the feet hip distance apart. Ground down through your palms. I'm going to take a bridge pose here. So we're going to gently begin to roll the hips off the ground, the lower back off the ground, the mid back off the ground, all the way up until we're rolling the shoulder blades off the ground. Making sure we're really grounding down through all four corners of our feet. We're activating through the glutes, so squeezing through the butt. You can stay here or you can interlace those hands underneath you, rolling onto your outer shoulders. And the inhale, lifting the hips a little higher. And the exhale, making sure we're grounding down through the feet. One more. Inhale, lifting the hips up. The exhale, begin to lower down, releasing the hands, vertebrae by vertebrae, just as slowly as you came up. Take the feet as wide as the mat, let the knees knock together in the middle. Just bring both hands to the belly. Notice if you lost focus on the breath. Just gently bring your awareness back to that inhalation and exhalation. And heel toe the feet together, back to hip distance apart. And then cross the right ankle over the left thigh. So you can stay here in figure 4 if you can already feel this in your hip. If you want to make this a little deeper, you can draw that left knee in towards your face. And if you want to take this one final step, you can reach those hands and take a hold of the back of your left thigh. So we're in a reclined figure 4 pose here. This is really great for opening up through the outer hip. I like to flex through both my feet. You can create a little bit of resistance by pulling your left leg towards you, but really pushing away with your right ankle. And then gently release your hands. If you wrap them around your thigh, release the sole of the left foot to the ground. Now just cross the right knee over the left knee. Take your arms out to a T. Shift your hips over to the right just a couple of inches, and then let the knees fall down to the left. So we're in a reclined twist here. Now, if this is too much for you with the bound legs, you can always just unwrap the legs and let the knees fall to the side. So just take an option that works well for you. And gently drawing the knees back through center. Uncross the right knee from the left knee. Now, cross that left ankle over the right thigh for your figure four on the other side. And once again, you have options here. You can keep that right foot grounded. You can draw that right knee in towards your chest. Or you can reach those hands behind the right thigh. Flexing through your feet. Maybe creating that push-pull between the left ankle and the right thigh. And gently release the hands, release the sole of the right foot to the ground. Cross the left knee over the right knee. Take the arms out to a T. Shift the hips over to the left just a couple of inches, and then allow the knees to fall down to the right for your reclined twist. And of course, if this is too much for you with the knees bound, you can just stack the right knee on top of the left knee. And gently drawing your knees back to center. Uncross the left knee from the right knee. Draw the knees in towards your chest and take your hands on the outsides of your feet. And if you can't quite reach the outsides of your feet, maybe taking hold of your shins or your ankles. Now you're trying to imagine you're drawing the knees down towards your armpits and to the ground beneath you. So we're in happy baby pose here. And I like to gently rock side to side. This is a nice way to open up through the inner hip, the inner thigh. And then drawing the legs together, wrap your arms around your shins. Draw your knees into your nose. Take one deep inhale. And then exhale, release down into Shavasana. So you're just going to lay down on your back, your legs long, your ankles splaying out to the sides. Your arms are just resting beside you, palms facing up. You're just allowing your body to melt down into the ground. We'll just be here for a couple of minutes and I'll let you know when it's time to come out of your Shavasana. Once again, if you notice your mind starting to wander, just gently drawing it back to the breath. Without judgment. Reminding yourself that it's human nature to get distracted. So be kind to yourself. Becoming aware of your surroundings. Maybe bring some movement to your fingers and your toes. Maybe circling your wrists and your ankles. You can stay here as long as you want. If you're ready to move on, just going to bend through the knees, planting the soles of the feet on the ground. And keeping the eyes closed, just rocking onto your favorite side. Maybe using your arm as a little pillow. Making your way back to that comfortable seat. Letting the hands fall on the knees or rest in your lap. We'll close this practice with a really deep inhale through the nose. And open the mouth and sigh it out. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. And just take a moment to thank yourself for taking this time out of your day to get on your mat and to be present. And remind yourself of that mantra, I am here. So for any time during the rest of your day or night you find yourself thinking about what's next, just using those words to draw your attention back to the present moment. I honor the space inside you in which the entire universe dwells. It is a place of peace and love and truth and happiness. When you're in that place in you and I'm in that place in me, we are one. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing. I hope you enjoyed the first week of our Yoga for Beginners series. If you have any comments or questions, please just leave me a comment below. I'll be responding to all questions and comments. And of course, if you like these videos and you want to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a great day.